Mahama has sworn in the new Auditor General, whose appointment in recent weeks drew some controversy. There have been reports the new Auditor General, Daniel Domelovo, formerly with the Controller and Accountant General's Department, had rejected the offer of appointment due to the raging dispute over whether it was appropriate for President Mahama to impose the officials on the incoming administration with just a few days left for him in office. His swearing in at the Flagstaff House by President Mahama should settle all doubts about Mr. Domelovo's interest in the job. The president made no mention about the controversy regarding the appointment. He however reminded the new Auditor General about the critical role of his office in the fight against corruption.
We have been working on the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan. And the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan has three key principles: prevention, education, prosecution. Prevention and education are put first because it's believed that best practice is to prevent corruption from taking place. And so in discharging your job, your emphasis is not on punishing, but on trying to prevent creating the system that prevents misappropriation of public funds from taking place in the first place. Of course, when it has happened, it is important for us to sanction whoever have undertaken that. And so I hope that you will work with government to ensure that we're able to bring probity and accountability into our public services, especially, and ensure that we minimize the misuse of government funds and property. The audit service is also mandated by the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana to monitor the use and management of all public funds and report to the people of Ghana through Parliament and other fora of public interest and engagement. I wish to encourage you to collaborate with all the relevant stakeholders to ensure the successful delivery of this mandate. Given your rich professional experience, and I know you've worked with the Accountant General's Department for so many years, and you're very highly qualified, it took quite a search to eventually discover you. And I believe that you have all that it takes to be able to discharge your new function with excellence. And so I want to congratulate you and to assure you that government would work with you, cooperate with you, so that you can discharge your constitutional mandate in the interest of the people of Ghana. Congratulations once again.
In brief remarks after he was sworn in, Mr. Domelovo promised to deliver on this mandate.
Mr. President, I would like to start by thanking God for granting me this opportunity to serve my country. I would like to say that I've been humbled by this appointment, which I accept wholeheartedly, and I want to assure my fellow Ghanaians that I will discharge the duties and the responsibilities attached to this office to the best of my ability, without fear of favor, affection, or ill will. On that note, thank you very much, Your Excellency.
The incoming administration has already expressed reservations about the appointments being made by the outgoing president and stated it reserves the right to review them when it assumes office on January 7 next year. Now, President Mahama has inaugurated a new office complex and auditorium for the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences here in Accra. He says is in honor of the memory of late President John Evans Atta Mills, who conceptualized the project before his demise. He called on researchers in the arts and sciences to work together on projects that will advance the development of Ghana through science and the arts.
4 years ago, in October 2012, I had the honor to cut the sword for the commencement of work on an office complex and auditorium for the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, an edifice now completed, which complements the image and prestige of the Ghanaian Academy. The Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences is the premier academy in sub-Saharan Africa. Despite that great stature amongst African academies, it had no office of its own. Indeed, the Academy had for many years been a poor squatter in the premises of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. This definitely must have affected our Academies' ability to congregate effectively, to exchange views and ideas. We owe this development to the memory of the late Professor John Evans Atta Mills. May his gentle soul rest in perfect peace. He it was, as President of the Republic of Ghana, who conceptualized and made the promise to execute this project. Everything I did subsequently when I succeeded him as president was to honor the memory and the promise that Professor John Evans Atta Mills had done. This complex is therefore a legacy to the memory of this great man. The decision of government to support the Academy was born out of the government's appreciation of the Academy's work and the important role it plays in expanding the frontiers of knowledge and learning and its impact on national development. We believe the arts and sciences must work together for social cohesion and national transformation. Failure to marry these two together will lead to underutilization, wrong usage, and these could have disastrous consequences. Hence, over the years, we have striven to increase awareness and incorporate interventions such as need assessments, environmental impact assessments, strategic environment assessments, technology-driven impact assessments of projects in the pursuit of major national programs and projects. And I'm happy that members of the Academy have been key providers of expert knowledge and skills in all these endeavors.
President-elect Nana Akufo Addo says with the right leadership and results-oriented programs, Ghana could rise out of the shackles of poverty and underdevelopment during his reign. Addressing members of the Catholic Bishops' Conference on Friday when they visited to congratulate him, Nana Akufo Addo says Ghana has no excuse to be poor and pledged to work to ensure a country where businesses will grow and unemployment reduced. President of the conference, Most Reverend Philip Name, asked the incoming government to focus on job creation and eradication of corruption and other social vices.
We, the members of the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference of Ghana, are here as a delegation of the entire conference this afternoon as a follow-up to the congratulatory message we sent you 2 weeks ago following your election as the President of the Republic of Ghana on December 7, 2016. Once more, we say congratulations to you. 2 days ago, we met the outgoing President, John Dramani Mahama, and we expressed our appreciation and thanks for having exhibited a great sense of statesmanship by calling you to concede defeat before the Electoral Commission officially declared you the winner of the presidential elections. Indeed, all Ghanaians have once again, through this year's presidential and parliamentary elections, exhibited their enviable democratic credentials and have proven to the whole world that we are truly a God-fearing and a peace-loving nation. At a time when democratic traditions are being challenged in some countries in Africa and beyond, this peaceful transition of political power in our dear country really makes us feel proud to be Ghanaians. Your Excellency, while congratulating you, it is gratifying to know that you have emphasized that you no longer see yourself as only a leader of a political party, but as a president or father of all the people of Ghana. With this heartwarming assurance, we hope that you will endeavor to have an all-inclusive government that will sincerely address the challenges mitigating against the development of our nation. We hope that your government will seriously address the issues of youth unemployment and the high cost of living in our country. It is also our expectation that Ghana, under your leadership, will experience more a sense of fellow feeling and a reduction, if not total elimination, of the high rate of social ills such as armed robbery, indiscipline, dishonesty, bribery, and corruption. Your Excellency, rest assured that we as a church see ourselves as partners in development with any government. We will endeavor to do all that is within our means to support you and your government to succeed in tackling the challenges confronting us.
President-elect Nana Akufo Addo says his government will work to fulfill all promises made to Ghanaians in the run-up to the elections.
But I want to thank you on many scores. First of all, for the continuing work that you do for our country, the pastoral work as well as the various important social services that the Catholic Church continues to provide the people of Ghana. It's an inestimable part of our social capital, the work that you do. But even more significant in terms of your presence here, to thank you for your advocacy. The Bishops' Conference that I've known in recent years, for the last 20, 30 years, has never shied away from speaking its mind on the great issues of the day in Ghana. And it is, for those of us who are in public life, it is something very heartwarming to know that there are bodies of people, independent-minded people, who have no reason to blow with the wind, but who stand for the immemorial values of our society and who should stand for them. And I think that the Catholic Bishops' Conference has carved an enviable reputation as a body of people who speak for Ghana and whose concern is both the physical, the material, and spiritual welfare of Ghanaians. So for that, we have to thank you for the work that you do for our country. It is highly commendable, and it is also very reassuring. And I know that in the past, controversies that happened that occasioned electoral and political disputes, you have continued to be a real rock for our nation. I'm hoping that my period of stewardship of the country, I am going to continue to receive this disinterested but informed guidance and advice that you have been providing the Ghanaian nation. I'm counting on you to continue to speak your mind, and by that, illuminate for me the work that I have to do. I think that a country of yes men is not a good country. And it's not a country that succeeds. A country where the senior citizens speak their mind, not within a motive of malice or ill will, but in order to advance the public welfare is extremely important. And that's the work that you do. So I'm counting on you to be my partners in the work that we're doing. I know that as a Christian, believer in the one Almighty God, that kingship is a matter of grace and of favor. And that without the direct intervention of God, nothing can be done. I'm a firm believer in the divine mission of our Lord Jesus Christ, a firm communicant. And I hope that the teachings of Christ inform the way that I work and live.
And Akufo Addo also had some kind words for President Mahama's handling of the transition process so far and expressed his gratitude to him.
The way it's made about the president. I think all of us in Ghana have to be thankful that we have in him a man who's also devoted to the peace and stability of our country and is comporting himself in a manner to assure a smooth transition. We're in it. There will be controversies. It's inevitable. But I believe that the manner in which he's going about it is reassuring to our people, especially when you see what is going on in other parts of our continent. And we have to be thankful for that. We have to continue the service he has done for our country. We recognize it. He came into office at a very delicate moment in the history of our nation, the death in office of a sitting president, and he stepped up to the breach. He's held the state together, and the comments that he's made, that he inherited a peaceful nation and is bequeathing a peaceful nation to me, are important comments and ones that I share. So hopefully together we can continue to work towards the peaceful, stable Ghana, which is all that we want. We've received a dramatic mandate. And the mandate is about making sure that young people get jobs in Ghana, and that we do something about the very matters you have.
You're watching Joy News Prime. Still to come in the bulletin, in the NDC's quest to find out why it lost in the December elections, there's been some help from a rather unlikely source.
School has been in banking and economics, and so I think that, and you know, as an economist.
And the man accused of attempting to assassinate President Mahama has been released. We'll have all that coming up after a break. Stay tuned. Residents of Miocho, a town in the Ningo Prampram district, are insisting that police is responsible for the deaths of two of their kinsmen in Thursday's disturbances. The two were shot dead in a long-standing land-related dispute. The police say 6 others were injured and 16 persons have been arrested. Ernest Kojomenu was in the community and has come through with this report.
The land gas, the gun-wielding land gas who came in from Dowenya had also burnt some vehicles belonging to the deceased. Yeah, belonging to the deceased, and also properties. He had a restaurant. I think that belongs to the son.
And this was in the morning when they attacked the community around 10 a.m. I'm told.
10 a.m. Because when the distress call came, we even heard gunshots. So when we went there, we saw most of the cars. I think five of the vehicles have been burnt, and I think one of them have been sprayed with bullets. And it was really I mean a pathetic scene when you could see that houses, like a whole restaurant, parts of the restaurant has been burnt down and vehicles have been burnt down. And most of the residents had gone into hiding because they were scared for their lives.
An eyewitness account of the sporadic shootings and attack on residents of Miocho. But what is the background to these attacks, the second in the month of December and the third in this year? Theophilus Botre is assemblyman for the area.
Since 2005, Dowenya people encroached our land, Kwaku Dapo and his family. So we went several courts. We end up at Supreme Court. We won the case. They said they didn't understand. They entered the land by force with their own land gas, and so they were there selling the land, doing whatever they like. But just recently, they attacked us 2 times.
Okay. But where is the land actually, the land in contention?
The land fall from Central University or Prampram Road, okay. Prampram Main Road, okay, to My 30. Okay. We share boundary with Oningo people. Mm-hmm. So due to that, they were attacked us 2 times.
The residents believe the police did not act professionally and is responsible for the death of the two in the community.
I swear, my good God, my maker, that the question that I ask the police people, the answer they give me, they say that it's a mistaken. So if they had a press conference and tell the whole Ghana, including the world, that the Onya people or the Onya Langard killed my brother and the missing, it's not true.
The police, however, denies this claim. ASP Julian Albane speaks for the Tema Regional Police Command.
It is that the clashes were strictly between Micho and Dawenya, and not with Micho, Dawenya, and the police.
Meanwhile, son of the deceased, Johnny Botre, says the police is solely to blame for the death of his father.
We have a good relationship with Kudalo. At the time he was heading in Temas, regional commander. We eat together, we drink together. But I don't know, since Kudalo being to IGP, he rejected me because my short-up message is that I thank Kudalo and Tete Yohono Awuni, that's all. I haven't have anything to thank them. They are downward. I give my everything to God. I know God is going to fight for me. God will be with me, and I'll stand in the battle. But I have nothing to say it. Their thanks. God bless them.
Calm has since been restored to the community. Ernest Menu for Joy News.
Some NDC backbenchers in Parliament have vowed to resist any attempt by their leadership to impose leaders on them in the next legislature, which will be sworn in on January 7. They argue with few days to the inauguration of the new Parliament, the caucus is yet to be consulted on the choice of names to form the front bench for the NDC in the House. Intense lobbying is underway, with several names being rumored to be included in the list. Member of Parliament for Keta, Richard Kwashiga, tells my colleague Elton Brobe the caucus must have a say in who leads them.
I don't think that we have had any discussion to that effect as to who makes it to the leadership of the minority. I've also read and heard in the media some names being dangled around and all. Oftentimes, allusions are made to sources at the leadership of the party. That is also not clear enough. And I don't think that the leadership of the party has really taken any decision on who should lead the party in Parliament, who should be the minority leader, deputy minority leader, and the whips and all. And so I think that that assertion should be debunked with all the force it deserves, because it will not stand to reason if an elected member of Parliament is not told anything, and then all you hear is what we're hearing in the media. Especially, I think that there should be some firm procedures to follow. There must be consultations at various levels. The regional executives, for instance, should even be asked, as it were, to dialogue with their elected members of Parliament, to produce a name. And if that is done across all regions, that can then be submitted to the national executives and possibly even before NEC. And even before all these, I think it will be critical and very important that the outgoing president and leader of the party, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, should also have a say in this, as well as the Council of Elders. Most importantly, the founder or founding father of the party, depending on which terminology suits your ear, should also have a say or should also be consulted in this matter, so that when these broad consultations are done, and then, a certain list of names are presented as making up the leadership of the minority in Parliament, there can be some transparency, some confidence, and that can actually catalyze the needed energy, for the minority to hold the majority strongly in check, and that obviously will also lend itself to the NDC gathering the necessary momentum for 2020, because if it's not done well, and then it's seen as some names are being imposed on members, it could lead to resentment, and that oneness of purpose that is needed, for us to work with will be lost, you know, and that obviously will affect the minority in parliament and, by extension, the NDC that is so determined and poised to make a comeback in 2020. So.
Right, time for business, and Emmanuel Abwajuafe has joined me. Good evening to you, Emmanuel.
Good evening, Easy.
So going into 2017,
yes,
apparently the
I
business
knew you were going
people,
to ask.
well, yeah, they're having some expectations.
Yes.
And what are your own expectations?
Well, my expectation is that God helps me to go into 2017 successfully. That's a summary of it, because I should be successful in all disciplines.
All right.
At work, in church where I play a vital role, and other places as well.
Well,
family life.
God help you so that comes true.
Exactly.
Right, but let's hear from the business people.
All right. Thank you very much. And thanks for joining me on business. Sections of the public continue to outline their expectations of the incoming NPP administration after it takes office from the 7th of January 2017. Joy Business has been interacting with some corporate executives on what they expect next year.
There was a whole range of lessons learned that were taken from Jubilee into the FPSO Jonathan Mills. Indeed, industry experience was also brought to bear because the manufacturers have various other FPSOs. So we expect, and we're quite confident that from a design perspective and from an operational perspective, we should see better output. But it's a plant, and plant and equipment can always break down and give you problems. So we remain confident that we've got the right fit for the purposes that we need today.
We are hoping to start from 50,000 barrels a day?
No, we're going to ramp up to 50,000 and then progressively ramp up to the nameplate of about 80,000 barrels. We're not going to start with 50. We're going to ramp up from first oil to 50,000, hang around there for a bit, do the testing, as he said, performance testing and all those, and then ramp up progressively to the nameplate of about 80,000 barrels.
The gas will be from 12 weeks away from first oil, right?
No, gas, when you say gas, you mean gas export to Ghana. Gas export, well, gas supply to Ghana is under the plan of development targeted for 12 months from first oil. But we're in discussions with the government. We're working with the GMPC, the Ghana Gas, to expedite that date. And we remain optimistic that we can do that.
The period 2017 to 2020 should see an economic boom for the country. Those were our projections, and the trends seem to be pointing towards that. I'm happy to see interest rates finally start to decline. I hope that it is sustained, but we need to watch the balance between a drop in interest rates and the portfolio investment so that we don't create a situation of capital flight and worsen the currency. We should also, I expect that with the new oil fields coming on stream, we should see a bump up in our GDP, in our external reserves, but also the level of economic activity. I'm personally happy to see interest rates decline because then we can see investment activity also pick up within the domestic economy. My advice to the policymakers is to be reform-oriented, to stay close to the market, to work with business, to evolve policies. It must be a consultative process. It shouldn't be just from one camp, that is policymakers just taking a policy view, but it must be socialized with other stakeholders so that we carve out the best policies for the country. But I think that the future looks very optimistic, and I'm sorry that I'll miss it.
Finally, what was your highs and lows in the industry that you were working in 2016?
The lows have been, I think the currency was stable for much of 2016. I would say it's the negotiation of our outstanding debt position with oil companies, the energy sector. It was very protracted. I'm glad that there's light at the end of the tunnel, but that has been extremely difficult, put all of us under pressure in terms of fixing that issue and the drag it imposes on the balance sheet. So I think that would be the low.
We want to see government reduce its expenditure, not austerity. We see the government is the biggest purchaser of goods and services. We want to see prudent and strict stability in the fiscal spectrum. We want to see a strict and monetary policy that is not inflation targeting. Ghana, our inflation is cost, induced. So if we're going to look at targeting inflation, it's not by demand. Productivity is low. So we want monetary policy that will allow enough liquidity in the system for private sector to use and private sector to produce.
Meanwhile, economist Professor Peter Quartey of the University of Ghana says despite the growth of the economy, it is not reflective of the level of employment. The Ghana Statistical Service recently, in its release of the GDP estimates in Q3 this year, said the economy grew by 4%. But Professor Quartey says there's more room for improvement.
Well, if judging by the numbers, particularly the subsectors that are driving this growth, I wouldn't say we are picking up because it's construction. So what happens if after the elections some of these construction activities are not in place? Then of course our growth rates are going to slump. But fortunately for us, I believe the new oil find and the productions are going to rake in more revenue. So we are likely to see higher growth numbers than before. But otherwise, had it not been for this new oil revenue, that likely oil revenue we are to expect, judging by the numbers, is not encouraging. We cannot make sound judgment or projections based on what we are seeing now.
But Prof, some will also say that there's always been this concern about jobless growth and real growth and all those things. Is this still a problem that we are facing as an economy, or we are coming out of that, or we are still having that problem?
Yeah, we are having that problem. We are growing. Unfortunately, we are not growing as much as we should. We should be growing between 8 to 10%, looking at our unemployment figures. But then even with a little growth we are seeing, we are growing in the areas that do not employ so many people. Manufacturing is declining in terms of growth. Agriculture, you're not seeing much for several years. Growth in agriculture has been either negative or very minimal. So yes, we are growing, but it's driven mainly by oil. How many people do we find within the oil sector that are employed within the oil sector? So it's likely we are growing, but we are not employing or generating enough jobs. That is why this issue about jobless growth is important. But having said that, you can generate revenue from oil, grow from oil, but then you can channel some of this revenue into other areas, agriculture, industry, so that they can employ more, and by so doing, we won't have this jobless growth situation would pick up.
In just a day and a few hours' time, we shall see the dawn of a new year, 2017. There have been several high points and low sides in the business sector as well as the economy as a whole. Some people have been expressing some of these major concerns and what they expect to see next year. They presented these concerns on Joy Business End of Year program on the board today at the Achimota Mall here in Accra. Kukua Apia reports.
Currently at the Achimota Mall, and what we've had on the board so far is a series of opinions. So some people have put down unemployment. We've had high taxes, which is the most common actually. High taxes and unemployment has been the most common. We had someone even put up high cost of materials in the fashion industry. We've also had people put up doomsday, the unstable power supply. We've had high cost of food. We've had late payment in salaries. So we've had a very different, very varied reactions from people here. We also have someone on set actually who we're going to speak to. We're going to speak to Willis as well. He put down high taxes and unemployment. So we're going to speak to him and find out what it is or what made him put that down. So Willis, hi. All right, so you put down depreciation and unemployment. What is it that attracted you to the board, first of all, and what is it that made you put that up?
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity. And I would like to say that at the beginning, I work at the Forex Bureau, okay, and it got to a point in time where the cedi was struggling with the dollar and other foreign currencies, okay, and we are working for profitability, and in cause of that, it affects us. We lose so much, okay. So I was not really happy about the fact that our currency was trailing with other foreign currencies, okay, and it really affected our income.
Okay, so we're still at the Achimota Mall, and we have here Asari Miracle. So he came to the board and wrote down high taxes. What made you, first of all, what attracted you to the board? And secondly, what made you put down high taxes?
Oh, well, we are basically into importation. We manufacture outside and we bring the goods down to Ghana here. If you look at the taxes that we were paying 2016, it was very outrageous. And because of that, everything eventually is passed on to the end consumer. Not only that, when it also comes to the company, I mean internally, the taxes which are being put on even commissions that staff are getting, okay? So at the long run, if you say get 5,000 as your commission, okay, as a staff, a certain component, substantial component, goes into taxes, so it doesn't come directly to you. So everything apparently goes from importation even to the staff and the end consumer. So that's why I wrote that.
Well, some people also shared the expectations in 2017.
I think that is going to be much, much better. For now, the power is stable. For past 2 months or so, the power is stable. And if it continues, okay, I'm speaking from the perspective of the energy. If it continues like that, I have no doubt that business is going to boom. I have no doubt, because the more the power is stable, the more people have confidence in the economy. New investors will bring their monies. Those who already have some investment will have the confidence to pump more into their businesses, and that is how the economy will grow. So I think that we are looking forward to a very good business here.
I've also learned in the history of Ghana that governments may promise one thing when they are not in power, and they may find out that the situation is completely different, and it may take them a long time, even if they intend to change things, and good intentions is not everything. So yeah, my fingers are crossed, but yeah, I don't want to start celebrating what hasn't happened yet. So yeah, so that's it.
And that's all in business tonight. Many thanks for watching. Have a happy new year, and let's meet again next year. My name is Emmanuel Apuachi. Don't go away. More stories coming up.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Researchers from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine UK say a recent survey undertaking in Accra reveals at least 80% of all salad foods sold in the open market, including hotels and restaurants, contain some amount of feces. Even more worrying, they say, is the discovery that those who buy those foods pay little attention to hygiene. The report by a team of international scientists is published in the international peer-reviewed journal Public Library of Science and also in the Journal of Science and Technology. Love FM's Chrissy Deborah has more in the following report.
This food may be helpful, but I certainly did not buy this food because of health. I actually bought it because of taste. And I guess there's the problem of many Ghanaians. Researchers undertook separate exercises in Accra between September and December 2012, as well as June to August 2013. They collected lettuce, soil and water samples from 3 wastewater irrigated fields. The team also sampled salad vegetables from 3 central markets and also processed ready-to-eat salad from 80 street vending stores and restaurants. All collected samples were tested for the presence and levels of a type of bacteria known as Escherichia coli. Interestingly, the researchers found 46% of people who eat outside buy food for taste, and 19% because of convenience or proximity to vending site. Even for domestic cooking, the choice of foodstuffs and items were influenced by factors other than health. While 28% were based on friendship and 20% on good price, only 1.5% considered clean environment of the vending site. According to the study, 98% of salad samples prepared by street food vendors were contaminated with bacteria known as Escherichia coli, which causes food poisoning. Dr. Prince Nchweje is a lead researcher with the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, UK.
My results show that 80%, irrespective of where it was taken, was contaminated by E. coli. E. coli is an indicator organism. Whenever you find E. coli in food, it tells you that we have fecal pollution in that particular sample, in this case food. But for the 4 domains, that's at farm, markets, street vending sites, and at hotels, the highest risk was found at the street vending sites. Technically, the number of E. coli, we found about more in excess of 4 log. In 4 log means almost like 10 raised to the power 4, so about 10,000 E. coli in just 1 gram of the street vended salad. So that one was for the risk part. Then for the perception one, so I was trying to find out whether if people are made aware of the fact that the produce that they consume is wastewater irrigated, will it actually influence their consumption pattern or even their buying pattern for whether prepared salad or the unprepared or the raw produce at the market. And what I found was that at the street vending sites, consumers were actually motivated to buy the check normally based on taste and convenience. Only about 2% of consumers, and I interviewed about 160 street consumers for street vended salad, that's check, and about only 2% of them actually considered health indicators when like choosing one street vendor from the other in case of buying the salad.
90% of these salad samples were considered unsatisfactory for consumption based on Ghana Food and Drugs Authority food safety standards. Less contaminated salad was found in restaurants with valid hygiene certificate, though 60% of salads sold at these restaurants were also unsatisfactory for consumption based on FDA food safety standards.
Technically, E. coli can be classified as an indicator organism. An indicator organism only shows that if you find any indicator organisms in a food sample, it tells you, the consumer, that that particular food sample or particle has been polluted by feces. So in this case, it can be human feces or animal feces. So it's basically you are consuming feces. Even though it signifies the E. coli is an indicator organism and it signifies the presence of fecal matter or fecal pollution, it does not necessarily signify disease risks or infection risks. On the other hand, it signifies or it tells the researcher that there is likely to be other pathogens like in that sample. E. coli and all the other pathogens that can be found in food, salmonella and co, that can be found in food. The commonest disease that they give to consumers is diarrhea disease. But let me also stress the point that if I did this particular study in collaboration with the Food and Drugs Authority of Ghana, and they have a standard which is in line with international standard. And in the Ghana standard, for food that can be consumed uncooked, that's if you want to consume it raw, then you shouldn't find E. coli in excess of 100 or 2 log. So if you find 2 log E. coli or 100 in absolute terms, 100 E. coli, then the food, according to the Ghana standards, is considered unsatisfactory for consumption. Based on the Ghana standard, and in my study, about 90% of the street vended salad that I sampled will be considered as unsatisfactory because all of them had quantity levels of E. coli exceeding that 2 log or the 100. About 60% of the salad that I picked from hotels and restaurants in Accra will also be considered as unsatisfactory for consumption because they also had levels exceeding what the Ghana Food and Drugs Authority recommends for consumption.
For regulators, the research team recommends intensify hygiene inspection and monitoring. The study also prescribes certification and improve environmental and food hygiene practices.
2 recommendations: you'd use disinfectants, and in this case salt and vinegar, which are the commonest one, and they are also cheap like to come by. Or you also remove the outer leaves, because most of these pathogens or microorganisms, they stay outside the leaves. So if you remove the outside, then at least you reduce your risk of consuming like a vegetable containing these microorganisms. At the street vending sites, they use disinfectant all right, but it becomes ineffective because of the environmental exposures and the fact that they also prepare this salad in bulk from the house and bring it to the vending sites. And when they bring it to the vending sites, they normally leave it open. In my study, I studied every food vendor for 3 good hours. On average, they could leave this their salad uncovered for almost like 100 minutes. So whenever you have cuts or slices of food, its ability to attract microorganisms is more than when you have the food in contact. So since you have poor environmental conditions, they add on to the contaminants. So even when they disinfect it with vinegar and other things, it still doesn't become effective.
Consumers can also contribute significantly to restoring food safety by buying food only from those who adhere to hygienic practices. Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Debra.
Up next, we bring you international news.